Mic test, mic test, mic test. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Ayan, I see 29 students already in the house. So, ayan mga kapatid ha, attendance check until 10:10 a.m. That's why I asked you to tune in like at least 5 minutes earlier. So, I'll check attendance until 10:10 a.m. Write your names to the comment box as usual, family names first. Mention your section. Okay, I forgot that. Mention also your sections. Yan. Oh, very good sa mga naglagay ng sections. Palagay ulit ako ng mga sections ninyo mga kapatid ha, sa mga nakikinig na dyan. Palagay ng section. I'd have to do a sound check. Sa mga iba dyan, kapag am I loud and clear? Naririnig nyo ba ako? Type 1 if you can hear me, please. Type 1 if you can hear me. Hindi yata ako naririnig Ayan, naririnig ako. Thank you sa feedback. Kindly sa mga nag-attendance check na dyan, attendance check ulit. Include your section. I forgot. My bad. Until 10:10 a.m. Wait. So, ayan. Can you type your names again sa mga nag-type na ng kanila mga pangalan? Yan yung bago nating rule. Like, write your names first, then your sections. Because I am doing the attendance check right now. Okay, we will wait for your other mates until 10:10 to key in their names and tune in. Ayan, mga nag-add na ng kanilang sections. Ayan, so okay yung iba na nagsasabi ng wala daw comment section. Ayan, kasi naka-unlisted yung ating live stream. Ayan, na-public ko na siya. Baka po pwede nyo na kayo mag-comment ngayong naka-public na yung ating live stream. Try again. You have to get off YouTube first and then get back. Kasi kaka-public ko lang yung ating live stream. Usually kasi unlisted to for specific sections lang. So, I hope, ayan, meron naman ng iba. So, ayan, sa mga nahihirapang mag-comment, I suggest you exit muna kayo. Exit muna kayo sa YouTube, then you open again the YouTube link, ganyan. Sa mga nahihirapang mag-comment. Ayan, marami na akong nakikitang estudyante nagko-comment ng kanilang family name, ayan. So, 2H, 2D, 2L. May nakikita na ba? Wala pa yata ako nakita. At may taga 2J na. 2J, 2D, taga 2K. Bakit wala akong nakikitang taga 2K? Ayan, wait lang ha, nafa-flood yung ating, message. I'm not supposed to check my message while I'm doing my class. Pero sa mga sa inyo na nahihirapan sa ating attendance check, like look at your screen. Look at your screen. Sa pinaka-top, kaharap niyo yung screen niyo, correct? Sa pinaka-top right. Check niyo sa top right, may tatlong dots. May tatlong dots dito sa top right. Click on that para makapag-comment kayo ng inyong mga pangalan. Facing your screen, top right, may 3 dots kayong nakikita, click nyo yan. Okay? Click here. Ayan. Nakikita nyo sa akin kasi exit. Kasi akin yung StreamYard. So, ayan. Dito makikita nyo yung live chat. Ganun. Everyone, this is just a reminder that if you do not have your sections, I'm not going to look for your sections on my attendance list, okay? Because there are 5 sections on this discussion, I request that you put or you input your sections as well so that it will be easier for me to check your attendance for today. We will start in a minute. We will give your classmates a chance to join our discussion in a minute. And so I guess I've given you enough time, ladies and gentlemen, to key in your attendance. So I'm checking. It's already 10:12. So I told you that I will be checking attendance until 10:10 only. But as we will have to start na because we have yung iba sa inyo is andito kanina pa. Okay? I'll just wait for the other comments until about 10:15 a.m. Ayan. So, ganun lang yung attendance check natin. So, every time we do this, automatic yung ating attendance check will be on the comment section. Alright? So later on, let's see why the others can't comment, while the others can naman. So let's troubleshoot that later on. But as for the moment, we are going to start our lecture. So this will be our very first um, official lecture for this semester, first semester of the 2021-2022 school calendar. And after this discussion, again, as I have said earlier during our orientation, um, every time you join the discussion, you can do the activity. But if you haven't joined the discussion, then you cannot do the activity. That's why I'm doing this attendance check. So, okay, after our discussion, you can just go back to the link and then watch this discussion again. So that's okay. This is recorded already as we go along. Ayan. Okay, yung course outline natin, I have explained to you earlier about this one. So, policy and concepts, terminologies, theories, of course, this is what we're going to take a look at, most importantly on this subject, theories of comparative policing. Also, transnational crimes, and then we have to compare crime rates of other countries. This subject is a little bit fun because we not only will be learning about Philippines, we will also be learning about the crime rates of other countries, transnational crimes of other countries, and also we will include the role of international law enforcement organizations such as the UN Police, Interpol, Asianapol, Europol, and also the ICC or the International Criminal Court. As I have looked earlier into the LEA 2 modules of other instructors, I have not seen a lot of ICC subjects or ICC related subjects included in this course outline. And so I have asked our program head if this is, I can include this. And she said that if it is related to our course, then we may include. So I see a lot of relation of this ICC into our course. And so that's why I have included this one. Okay, and then others that will be added sooner as we go along as into our discussion. Ayan. Nadidistract ako sa pag-comment ninyo ng inyong mga names. Yan. But anyway, okay, so introduction to policing. Later on, I will ask you, what do you understand about policing? That's why I did not include the definition of this policing. Okay, so early policing had three basic features. Okay, three basic features. I have underlined the three basic features of early policing. When we say early policing, this means yung earlier, when we were not yet born, or during the birth of policing pa itong mga to na basic features. And then these basic features, mga kapatid, they are also visible sa modern policing natin ngayon in our era. Yan. So, very first na basic feature nito is it did not always involve coercion. What does this mean? Yung, if we say involving coercion, merong dahas, yung early policing. But it does not always has this dahas. Diba? I don't know if you have learned already or if you have taken the subject kasi na corrections that discusses on the early forms of punishment. Kasama kasi dito yung early forms of policing, yung early forms of punishment. And the early forms of punishment, most of them always involve coercion. Diba? Burning the people alive, feeding these people to animals. So those involve coercion. But as researchers have written lately, Yung ating early policing, it does not always involve coercion. So that is the first basic feature. We will later learn why it does not always involve coercion. Pero sa mga nababasa naman natin na early forms of policing and early forms of punishment, parang coercion lahat yung mga nangyayari. We will try to compare later. Then the second basic feature of early policing is merong distinction between the people that are legally endowed with policing responsibility and the people who actually carried out policing duties. Dalawa yan, i-compare natin sila later on also. Yung sinasabi sa first na legally endowed, sila yung mga sumumpa sa batas, or they have given their oath to the government that they will carry out the responsibility of being a policeman or a watchman of the community. Yan, sumumpa sila. So they have signed. And the second one is they actually carry out policing duties, but they did not take oath. They have not taken their oath, or they did not do a promise to the society or to the government that they will be carrying out those policing duties. Let's take for example, Philippine setting. Local lang ha, local. Yung sa inyong mga barangay, yung mga legally endowed para mag-police, parang maging police ba ng ating mga places or local places are the kagawads, ganun. Or, what do you call this? The barangay tanods. Pero actually, yung mga barangay tanod, they did not, some of the barangays employ barangay tanods and they do not take oath. Correct? May mga ganon. Pero yung mga nag-legally taken oath talaga is yung ating mga barangay kagawad. So sila yung mga legally endowed para mag-carry out ng policing responsibility. Pero yung actual na nag-carry out ng kanilang mga duty, let's take for example, ay yung mga barangay tanod. Parang ganun yung distinction nito. And then the third policing feature is that policemen performed a wide variety of tasks. Hindi lang yung task nila to police the community. Yan. So one of also of their duties before is garbage disposal. Ayan. Can you imagine a policeman right now or yung ating era ngayon na hawak yung mga basura tapos sila yung magtatapon? I rarely see those. During my internship, it was our duty as interns to, clean and throw the garbages in the offices of the policemen. And if it's not us, interns, meron silang mga NUPs or non-uniformed personnel to do the cleaning for them and to do the garbage disposal for them sa new era ngayon. So policemen nowadays do not really do this. Or kung meron man, very few. And of course, it will also include firefighting. Although sa ating panahon ngayon, magkahiwalay yung ating PNP and BFP. So yung BFP natin or yung Bureau of Fire Protection natin, usually yung nag-carry out ng firefighting duties. But policemen can also do this one. The PNP can also do this one. It has little, direct relation to crime control as the garbage disposal. Ano nga ba yung relation nito sa crime control or prevention of crime, di ba? Hindi man siya related. This performance or this duty is conducted by our policemen. You have to remember yung 3 basic features ng early policing ito, early times. Okay, so we have to take a look also at the history of political era. A lot of people or most books usually discusses this as history. Let's call it timeline for that matter para mas madali yung timeline natin. Ayan. So, in the United States, dito tayo magbe-base ng ating timeline, the United States. Kasi usually sa kanila nag-start yung styles of policing, the forms of policing. So we will trace out our history of policing from the United States policing. So ayan. So in the United States, from the mid-1800s until the 1920s, policing in the United States flourished. So doon nag-boom yung ating policing. 1800s until 1920s. You have to take note of the time later on, of the year. Ayan. So, yung era ng policing na ito is referred to as the political era. So, yung policing in the United States, it started as a political era. The police represented the local politicians. So in every states, the 51 states, let's take for example, the 51 states of the United States, they have one governor each, correct? So all of these 51 governors has their own policing styles. Pwedeng magkakaiba, pwedeng magkakatulad. Ayan. So yung mga policing system nila is based on their political agenda or political will ng kanilang governors or ng kanilang politicians. There was no civil service system. Ganyan. Wala silang what do you call this? Wala silang yung sinusundang batas on how to hire policemen, on how to do the policing or to implement the policing in their own places. This is at the discretion of all their politicians. Let's say for example, yung pinakasikat na state ng United States, California. So yung governor ng California, if he or she wants to hire policemen, nasa discretion niya. Yung policing system ng California, nasa discretion din ng politician na yon. Yan. So, during this time, yung mga politicians, they run the precincts as small departments. So it is at their will if they would like to stop this crime or if they would like this crime to be rampant in their places. Yeah. And during this year also, the police in the United States had to keep politicians pleased. Yung boss nila is not the people. Instead, yung politicians. Ito yung main point ng ating political era. Ganon. So, officers were selected for their political services. Yan. And the people, when they take, and the police, I should say, when they have to take their oath, it's not to the people of that certain state. It is to the boss or that politician na siya yung boss sa kanila. Siya yung magiging police captain. Ganon. And also during this political era, policemen does not have any training. Kapag gusto nilang i-hire yung isang tao to be a policeman, pwede. Kasi yung politician na yon yung mag-hire or yung people ng politician na yon ang mag-hire. So they can just hire anybody even without training. Wala silang rule book. Yun. Tapos yung pagiging police during the time is very much parang pag naging police ka, wow ka. Parang ganun. So there are no other decent jobs but being a policeman. Ganon. Yeah. So during this era also, yung foot patrol, I hope you have heard of this foot patrol or at least it was discussed on your earlier subjects. Foot patrol was rampant. So wala silang ginagamit na police mobile, mga ganun. So foot patrol kasi nga wala pang training yung ibang kapulisan nating mga ganun. But on the lighter side, yung sa foot patrol, when you conduct kasi foot patrol, you can know your community so well. 'Di ba? Nakikita niyo siguro sa inyong mga barangay kapag naglalakad-lakad yung mga kagawad niyo, alam nila yung mga bawat lugar. 'Di ba? Instead of na yung mga nakasakay lang, tumadaan lang, they do not know the community so well. So that is the light part, parang magandang part of the foot patrol. Pero yung foot patrol kasi this is very hard also, ganyan. So during this time, the political era, the policemen, they knew exactly who were supposed to be there and who were not. Meaning, kapag may kakaibang nangyayari sa lugar nila, alam kaagad nila. Pag may new face sa lugar nila, alam kaagad nila. If there's a new activity in town, alam kaagad nung mga kapulisan during this time. Yan. So they can recognize potential crimes, potential problems. Ganyan. They can also talk to the members of the community. They can also learn a lot of things from the members of the community. This is called intelligence. Diba? They can do observance on their everyday foot patrol activities. Ganyan. So yung mga boss nila, the politicians, will also be informed of the daily activity nung community that they govern. Diba? Medyo maganda naman yung part na yon since they are updated that, oops, there's a crime happening in this area. Oops, there's a new person in this area. Baka potential na criminal ito, mga ganon. Yun lang, it's the politician who controls still that area or the policing in that area. So, pwede siyang mag-react, pwedeng hindi. Parang ganon. Okay. And then during this era, yung police natin, as I have mentioned earlier, wala silang formal education at saka wala silang formal training. So, let's take for example yung kanilang supervision. How much more yung supervision nila? Kung sa training pa lang, wala na sila, di ba? Sa supervision pa lang, um, parang olats na yung kanilang system. So, yung supervision nila is at the discretion of the politicians again. Yan. Policemen during those time, they could work on their own, on small groups, large groups. It is also at the discretion of the police, in accordance, of course, to the likes or to the mandate of the politicians whom they serve, that they can take down businesses when they want to, or if the politician would like to, or when the politician would want them to. Parang ganon. So, as you can read in our PPT, officers allowed gamblers. You see, if the politician would allow gambling, of course, the policeman would allow also gambling, mga ganon. So, thieves, mga ganon. Syempre, yung system nila before, kasi nga it's on the politician, is always yung kotong system. Have you ever heard of the kotong system that um they would do this and that type of crime in exchange of an amount or in exchange of a favor. Ganun. So before we end our political era, ayan, summarize lang natin. Ito yung characters ng ating police forces. Broad social service function. Of course, yung social service na sinasabi dito is they can go around the community. Sociable sila because they are on foot patrol. So they can function in that style. And then decentralized organization, yung centralization and decentralization of our police forces. We will discuss this in the midterms, but I'll just give you a background. Decentralized meaning wala silang sinusundang chain of command. 'Di ba? Kasi yung command lang nila is galing sa kanilang politicians. So decentralized ang organization. And then, intimate relationship with community. This is in relation to this one, social service function. They have intimate relationship, meaning they know their community so well. And they know the places in their community so well. And this one, extensive use of foot patrol. Ayan. Spoils system. Yung spoils system, ibig sabihin to yung ni-spoil nila lang yung mga gusto nila that would adhere to their likes or to the likes or to the benefit of the politician that they are serving. Then Pendleton Act and Civil Service System, we will discuss this again later on. I will explain to you why is it included in our political era. And then this one, discriminated against, yung discrimination ng mga African American officers. This kind of discrimination go way back, even before this political era. You know, the black people are discriminated against, and there's always segregation. Actually, it's still happening in in some states in the United States. Yung segregated, the blacks and the whites. So there's a black school, there's a white school before. There's also a black police and a white police. Ganyan. And then women officers, protective nurturing role. Yung women officers before, not so much entertained. Not so much na, oh, this is a police woman. Always policemen before. Meron man silang mga police officers na female, pero hanggang office lang, hanggang sa mga, clerical jobs lang, and not really in the fighting of crime, or they're not included sa mga foot patrol, mga ganon, during this political era. So this is the summary of our political era. Ang timeline natin in this one is 1840 to the 1930s. Ganyan. Okay, so the second era is the professional. Others term this as reform era. This is the same, okay? When you hear it's professional era, it's okay. When you hear that it's reform era, it's the same, all right? I have read earlier kasi professional era. So, yun yung nakalagay sa inyong mga nakuhang modules. But as I have read, they are the same. Professional and reform era. Ayan. So, from the end of political era, sabi dito kasi nag-end na daw yung political era. But, until now, meron pa rin namang, political style of policy. But anyhow, we will follow what the book says. So, nag-e-end na yung political era ng 1970s. Yung timeline natin kanina, let's go back. 1930s. Sabi niya yung timeline ng ating political eras. Ibig sabihin dito rampant yung political era. Ngayon, yung ating professional reform era, sabi niya nag-e-end yung political era nung 70s na. So, parang may 40 years na leeway kung saan parang nababawasan onti-onti kasi hindi mo naman pwede matanggal yan basta-basta, di ba? So 40 years, yung span ng 40 years na yun, papawala na yung political era. Ngayon, doon naman papasok yung ating professional or the reform era, ganyan. So, marami yung nagbago sa ating professional or reform era. So one of the most outstanding na nagbago is nire-reject ng professional or reform era yung politics as the basis of police legitimacy. 'Di ba kasi yung ating political era, they serve the politicians. Ganyan. So in this professional or reform era, nagbabago. So that's why it's called reform era. So yan, na-put up ngayon yung ating civil service system. Yan. So, yung ating civil service system na put up, na implement, at hindi na nire-recognize yung political affiliations, yung influences pagdating sa pag-hire ng policemen or sa system ng policing. Ganon. So, yung mga policemen during this time na, they do no longer work for the politicians. Yan. So, nagsisimula na yung quote-unquote real law enforcement. Ganyan. Dito na nag-start kasi naging professional na yung mga police nila. Ganon. So, marami na yung ni-introduce na policing practices, policing services. One of them is nagkakaroon na ng training, professional training, yung ating mga policemen. And also, the policing academic institutions were put up. And yung mga policemen natin during this time, marami nang nakakapag-aral about policing styles, police science, may mga programs na rin para sa ating mga kapulisan. So this is really the main gist of the reform era. Ganyan. So nagkakaroon na rin sila ng mga organizations. Yung benefit kasi ng mga organizations is that meron kayong parang sinusundang rules and regulations, meron kayong pupuntahan. So halimbawa, kapag meron kayong mga gagawin, like for example in your school, first day, tinanong ko kagad, sino yung mga class officers? Wala pa pala. I mean, I was late kasi nalaman kong September 4 pala yung inyong election. But, in relation, yung organization ninyo, you can always, parang pwede kayong sumandal sa organization ninyo for this and that. And the same sa mga organizations ng ating mga policemen. And in here, nag-establish na sila ng International Association of Chiefs of Police. Ibig sabihin, meron ng Chief of Police yung ating mga kapulisan. Okay. And then, yung earlier sa ating political era, walang radio yung mga kapulisan natin. So, can you imagine a policeman in uniform? Siguro ang gamit niya lang is yung baton stick, walking around the community 24/7. Tapos wala siyang radio. How will he or she be able to report yung crime, diba? So, dito sa ating our reform era, the radio car was introduced. So, nabigyan na sila ng kanilang police mobile and also police radios. Ganyan. And then, many police officers were taken off their foot posts. Ibig sabihin, they no longer do a lot of foot patrol, although they still do sometimes because foot patrol is one of the best style of, patrolling. I hope you learn that or you will learn that sooner or later. That is one of the best styles of policing, foot patrol. Pero during this time, hindi na sila masyadong nagpo-foot patrols. They already have their cars. It will be easier for them to do patrolling in the community. And of course, the patrol car became the symbol of policing. So it's very new to the community seeing a lot of patrol cars with the red and blue light going on. Mga ganyan. So they're also equipped with the radio. Parang mas madali na nilang mahaharap kung ano man yung crime na nangyayari sa kanilang mga lugar. So they also have power. And yung ibig sabihin itong conspicuous presence, they are easily seen by the people of their community. Ganyan. So, medyo meron na rin silang you have to remember sa ating political era kasi very intimate yung style ng mga pulis natin because they always do foot patrol. Ibig sabihin nakakasalamuhan nila face to face yung tao sa community. It's the same naman dito sa ating reform era. Although, meron ng distance. Police officers do not really have to get out of their cars to talk to people. Their police cars are already a statement that they are in the community, unlike sa ating foot patrol. And then they use criminal law as the basic source of police legitimacy. They have to follow the rule, or they do policing by the rule book. And they also have to learn to narrow their function into crime control and criminal apprehension. Magkaiba kasi yung crime control, magkaiba yung criminal apprehension. Although sa political era, medyo rampant yung kanilang criminal apprehension. Parang mas they serve or must they do the criminal apprehension in or according to the will of their boss or their politician. And in here, they have to do the criminal apprehension according to the rule book. Ganon. So also yung etong pagkakaroon ng patrol cars ng ating mga policemen, meron na yung subculture, us versus them. I was thinking earlier na hindi ko dapat i-discuss to kasi ito dapat yung magiging activity ninyo, but I've changed. I've changed my mind. Yung us versus them kasi is parang nagkakaroon ng distance or ng gap yung community and the policemen. As you've seen earlier, di ba, nakita niyo yung sa ating political era, super close yung ating mga policemen sa community. Meanwhile, dito sa reform era or professional era, nagkakaroon ng distance between the policemen and the people. Nasanay na kasi yung mga tao na kapag meron silang gustong gawin, basta na-place yung politician, it's okay. Yung mga police, okay. Nagkaroon na ng maraming changes during this era. Kaya nagkaroon ng subculture na us versus them. The policeman no longer serve us. They already serve themselves. Ganun. Subculture yan. Or nasa utak yan ng ibang mga tao during this time. And then yung, ito yung sabi ko, police were protectors of the status quo. Kapag ibig sabihin status quo, yung kung ano yung nangyayari. Kung ano yung nangyayari ngayon. Yung status quo natin, ayan. Sa Philippines ngayon, ayan, yung virus is ganito, ganyan. Status quo yan. That is, nangyayari yan. It's a fact yan, ganyan. So always, yung police, they will have to protect the status quo of the people or of the entire place or the entire state for the matter na nasa United States sila. Ganun. So frontline yung ating mga policemen kapag may mga conflict. Hanggang ngayon din naman, di ba? May mga conflict, kapag may mga nangyayaring karahasan or crime, sila yung ating frontliner. And during this time, frontline din sila during the reform era. Ayan. So may mga protests between the government and between the people. Kahit naman ngayon pag nakikita nyo, pag may mga protest, sila pa rin yung frontline. Ganun. So kapag yung mga police during those time, kapag may mga conflicts, may mga rallies, rally pala yung dapat kong sabihin. But anyway, rallies and protests are the same. Kapag may mga rallies and protests, ayan, very visible yung ating mga police. Tsaka yung mga policing styles nila, medyo kakaiba. Kakaiba yung style ng kanilang pagdi-diffuse ng mga situations na gano'n during those time. Yung style ng ating police ngayon is maximum tolerance. During this reform era, hindi pa masyadong napopractice yung maximum tolerance kapag yung presence ng police ay kailangan. Ganun. Okay, I have also copied one of the summaries of the reform era. So ayan, let's go back again to our political era. 1840s to 1930s. Ayan. So in 1929, nag-start na yung ating reform era. May idea na sila ng reform era. Ayan. So sa reform era na to kasi sa political era kasi nakita nila ito. Yung police brutality and corrupt influence of politics or corrupt politicians. And ginagawa na nila yung mga certain changes. Ayan. So this gave birth to the reform era. So baka nalilito kayo, apay nagguluma ni maman. Kuna na nga DJ political era kat hanggang 1930s, apay nagsubli so nati 1929 1929 kasi yung 1930s na 'to, ito na yung papatapos sabi ko kanina. Pero 1929 nagkaroon na ng idea para ma-reform yung, political era. So, isisingit natin 'yan sa ating timeline. So, okay, after nung ating, reform era, sumunod yung ating community policing era. This is the third na, medyo hanggang ngayon, although not so much. Hanggang ngayon ito yung ino-observe na style ng policing natin. So, ayan. We are currently in the community policing era of this, or we are currently in this style of community policing era. Although, iba-iba per country. And we will learn later kung paano nagkakaiba yung policing era. Although, most of us practice yung community policing era. Except, of course, number one, masasabi ko na hindi nagpa-practice nito is North Korea, mga ganon. Yan. So, but anyway, yan. So, parang nag-ano na to eh. Ito na yung marami na yung mga socialist people, nag-i-introduce na sila ng kani-kanilang mga ideas para sa community policing, mga ganun. Ano yung mga strategies na pwedeng mag-work para sa community? Ano yung policing na pwede sa community? Iba-iba kasi yung community natin kahit nga sa Pilipinas, di ba? Luzon and Mindanao, very different yung ating community. So, kailangan magkaroon ng policing para sa specific na community dito, ganyan. So, yung philosophy naman ng community policing is as long as it serves the community. Hindi siya na-specify na ito lang dapat para sa community, ganyan. So, yung factors nito, yung na-include dito, yung it has to reduce crime for the community to it has to reduce fear of the community. It has to reduce the disorder for the members of the community, ganon. So, ito na yung idea ng police na civilian in character and national in scope. Ito yung sa PNP motto natin. But anyway, parang dito nakuha yun eh. National in scope, you have to serve the national community. And civilian in character because you have to serve the civilian. Ito na yung main idea nung community policing era. Ayan. Policing era natin, ayan, 1980s to the present. So, ito yung mga dapat I will tell you na dapat characteristics ng ating police kasi meron pagkakaiba pa rin, nakikita nyo naman siguro. Diba ganun? Authority are coming from the community support. Yung mga policing styles natin, galing yan sa community. Like for example, bakit kailangang may police outpost? Kasi kailangan ng community yan, ganun. So also, they have to adhere to the law and professionalism. Kailangan na lang sundin yung ating saligang batas. And then, provision for road range of services. Ayan, yung services ng ating policing, dapat nasa crime control, crime deterrence, mga ganun. And then, yung decentralized organization, kasi meron silang, actually, yung ating, sa Philippines is centralized naman tayo. Pero meron pa rin yung parts ng Philippines na decentralized yung mga style ng kanilang police officers dun sa mga, lalo na sa mga malalayong lugar. Ilocos Norte is, I think, centralized naman. But anyway, sa mga decentralized kasi, may mga authority yung mga patrol officers. Yung super far flung na, yung hindi masyadong nare-reach ng sasakyan. May mga policeman dyan, pero parang sila na rin kasi yung nagmamandate ng kanilang mga ginagawa, ng kanilang policy, kasi nga malayo. Sorry. And then, yung community era, binabalik dito, yung intimate relationship with the community. Kaya meron pa rin yung mga foot patrol, may bike patrol. Dito sa amin, meron kaming horse patrol, mga ganun. Sa Baguio City, meron mga foot patrol. Ganun. So, they are putting back yung relationship of our policemen with the community. Ganyan. And then, ayan, the use of foot patrol and problem-solving approach. Dito sa amin, di masyado yung foot patrol unless hindi ma-reach ng bicycle or ng, for that matter, horse, yung place mo. Dito is usually na ginagamit dito is bicycle and foot patrol. Malalayo naman kasi yung mga places dito. Yan. So, but anyway, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, yung activities of a police, hindi lang siya concentrated doon sa pagiging police during the political era. Meron silang, throwing garbage, mga ganun. But anyway, this is, let's take a look at typical na life ng police officer natin. So, patrol areas by car, motorcycle, horse, or on foot. Dapat na-include dito yung bicycle. Anyways, they also direct traffic for special events. Hindi lang special events. Um, karamihan naman, 'di ba? Parang sa sentro ng Lawag, almost every day, may mga nakikita rin naman ako dati ng police, ganyan, when I was there. They direct traffic. Dito sa amin kapag may kasi may marami dito complete naman kami ng, what do you call this, traffic lights. Pero minsan mina-mandate pa rin ng police officers yung aming traffic lights. Minsan nagbibiro yung mga tao dito kapag may pulis sa kalsada, mas traffic. And it's true. Mas okay pa 'pag yung traffic light na lang yung sundan. Kasi minsan hindi sinusunod nung pulis yung traffic light dito sa amin, eh. You know, they do the traffic themselves, ganyan. Tapos medyo mas mahirap. But anyways, police officers direct traffic for special events. They traffic the cars if there are malfunctions, if there are accidents, mga ganun. And also they assist detectives, crime scene investigators. Basic na kasi itong mga trabaho ng police officer, yung pag-a-assist. They do not really do the investigation na kasi special, you know, quote unquote special policeman yung gagawa nun. Alam niyo naman siguro yun. But they also assist in that. And yung mga technicians, processing crime scenes, ganyan. And of course, pag transport ng prisoners, ganun. Hindi lang dapat pagta-transport ito eh. Hindi ko kasi ma-edit tong picture na to kasi I have copied this one. They also do, you know, catching the criminals, mga ganun. They also serve the arrest warrants, they do also do the search warrants, and they serve subpoenas. Yan yung daily life ng ating modern officer. Ito yung after na nung, or during na nung community era natin. Ito na yung daily life ng officer as compared to yung mga early life ng police officers during the political era and during the reform era. Ganyan. So, ito yung magiging history natin ha. History, ancient policing. Kapag ancient policing, ito yung political era. They serve the politicians or their kings and queens. Ang ganda kasi ng image na ancient na to, kaya ito yung ginamit natin, ancient policing. Medieval polishing. Medieval policing, ito yung mga nasa gitna-gitna, yung nagre-reform na from political papunta sa ating professional era. And then the early modern policing or yung ating pinaka-latest na yung ating community era. Ito na siya. Ayan. So, okay. Di ba? Ang bilis. Parang less than 1 hour pala yung lecture natin. Nung summer nung na-lecture ko to, parang 10 minutes ko lang na-lecture yung slides ninyo. Kasi summer. But anyhow, I'm surprised I have lectured for more than 40 minutes for this one. This is supposed to be like 10 minutes. Yan. So, but anyway, I think I have explained enough. But if you have questions, can you type on the comment box before I explain to you your activities? Do you have questions? Meron bang blurred? Mabilis ba ako magsalita? Meron ba kayong hindi naintindihan? I'll give you a minute to type in your comments on the comment box, please. Before I explain to you, ladies and gentlemen, your activities. Do you have questions? I have to go back there. Awang question yun, kakabsat. Lano, awan ti damagan yung kakabsat. I have to explain ha yung ating, wait. I have to explain to you yung susunod. Ilalak ko kasi later on kasi baka may mga, but anyways, anyhow, I will check naman yung mga nag-comment ng kanilang pangalan for the attendance. So di ko na siya ilalak. Last summer or last ano lang, yung nitong summer lang kasi nung diniscuss ko tong subject na to, ganito yung ginagawa namin. Kapag hindi ka nakapag-join ng discussion, hindi ka pwedeng gumawa as parang yung sa inyo din. But after nung kanilang lecture, nilalak ko yung YouTube discussion namin. So hindi na nila ma-view ulit. Ganon. They just have to rely on their modules. Tapos, na-screenshot lang nila yung activity and then they will do it on their own. But for your sake, yung mga nakita ko lang yung pangalan ha na naka-comment during the lecture. Iko-consider ko yung mga activities. So, you will do this per section. And you will submit this per section sa ating FB group. I will Ang sabi na, I will upload the photo later on sa inyong FB group where you can submit yung ating activity. So after this one, the next slide, screenshot nyo na mga kapatid. Ha, yung susunod na slide dito, screenshot nyo na because that will be your activity. And mind you, I read all your activities one by one. Yan. Masipag ako magbasa pag nagpapagawa ako ng mga ganito. So I would know if you copied your classmate or not. I would know if you have really, put a correct answer. Ganyan. And so mga kapatid, usually I use YouTube for my discussion. I tried Facebook Live before, pero nag-join kasi yung mga kaibigan ko from, other places. And then nagko-comment sila na what am I saying daw? Ano bang dinidiscuss ko daw sa aking Facebook Live? So hindi ko nagagamitin yung aking Facebook for that matter. Mas madali doon, 'di ba? Makikita ko kaagad yung mga comments ninyo. But kaya dito na lang muna tayo sa YouTube. So yung mga nahihirapang mag-comment diyan ng mga pangalan, i-troubleshoot nyo na yan. Na-explain ko na kanina, di ba? Upper right, may 3 dots dito sa upper right. Just click this one kapag di kayo makapag-comment. Nakapublic naman yung ating live stream, so pwede nyo nang ma-comment. So next time, alam nyo na yung gagawin. Ganito ulit yung gagawin natin. For example, YouTube ang na-send ko na link, automatic, comment your names and your sections. Ganyan. Okay? Family names first and then your section. Automatic yan pag nagko-comment kayo ng inyong mga pangalan. Kasi minsan nagsasabay-sabay yung ibang, pinagsasabay ko yung ibang sections. So yan, special yung section na to, 5. Yung sa susunod, 4. Yung susunod, 3, ganyan. So 5 kagad kayo ngayong section. Kaya kailangan ko makita yung inyong mga sections. Yan, mabilis pa ako magsalita. So wala kayong questions talaga. Habang nagsasalita ako, nag-aantay ako ng questions sa comment box. But I think wala kayong questions. So please do a screenshot of the next slide because this is your activity. Okay, you listen while I explain. So instructions. Instructions, again, I do not check papers who do not follow instructions. Mind you, okay? Baka gusto nyong masampulan. And this is worth 30 points. I did not include, but anyways, I will include it here. 30 points. Ayan. So 30 points yung ating output today. Okay? This is prelim activity 1. This is only for sections 2D, 2H, 2J, 2K, and 2L. So if you're not from this section, do not do this one. Kasi baka may mga nag-join dyan na hindi naman taga dito na section. Tapos ginawa nyo to, automatic 0. Okay? So this is only for sections 2D, 2H, 2J, 2K, and 2L. But don't copy each other because I'm going to read. And so instructions. Ang submission nito, ang pag-upload ninyo ng inyong mga outputs is until tomorrow. So kapag after ng lecture natin ngayon, halimbawa nagawa nyo na, submit nyo na kaagad. Do not wait for the submission time. Okay? Magpo-post ka agad ako sa ating FB group after ng lecture para there's an album where you can submit your output. So ang usually ang tawag nyo ito is deadline, correct? Ayoko ng deadline. Hindi kasi deadline yun eh. Kasi kapag deadline, wala nang gagawin doon, di ba? Pero i-check ko pa yun eh. Tapos i-comment ko pa yung mga scores ninyo halimbawa, di ba? So hindi siya deadline. Basta submission natin is tomorrow, Tuesday at 8 a.m. No extensions. Ayan. So, you have the whole afternoon kapag wala kayong klase mamaya. For example, may klase naman kayo hanggang 5. You can do that after 5 or after dinner, ganon. Basta yung submission natin bukas ng umaga at 8 a.m., no extensions. You submit them at your own respective FB groups. Kung 2D ka, doon ka lang sa 2D mag-submit, of course. Di ka man pwedeng member ng 2H, di ba? Okay, number 1, what are the 3 eras in the history? Ano yung 3 eras ulit natin? Ayan. Di ko na sasagutin, syempre, tinanong ko pa, di ba? But anyway, you have to define them. Ano yung main idea of each era? So, number 1, ABC. This era. Era A, Era B, Era C. So, ano yung main idea of this one? And then, according to our lecture, comparative table. This is what we're going to do a lot. Compare. So, you compare each. Yung policing eras. Compare mo yung political era to the professional or reform era as to that of the community era. How are you going to compare? Ayan, time period. Kaya sabi ko kanina medyo magulo, di ba? Kaya dito, hindi lang year ang ilalagay nyo dito. Like for example, professional or reform era. Nagsimula siya when? Ganito. And then, ano pa yung other ideas ng kanyang time period? So, hindi lang siya year ang ilalagay dito. Clear? Characteristics. Ano yung characteristics ng political era? From that of the professional and to that of the community. Ganun. Ano naman yung focus ng political era? From the name itself, you should know that. Ano yung mga problems natin? Ganyan. Ano yung style ng kanilang crime controlling? Medyo magkatulad yung ating crime control styles sa ating characteristics. Pero may pagkakaiba yan, ha. Huwag niyong i-copy yung nandito, ipapaste nyo lang dito. Although they are a little bit similar. May gusto lang kasi akong makita kung naintindihan nyo ba yung style to that of the characteristics. Okay? So, etong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ito yung i-compare natin between sa tatlo. Sige, Mr. Ganal, pwede mong i-drawing, ha, as long as maintindihan ko yung drawing. Pero dapat makita ko yung table, ha, because this table is what I'm going to really check. So, like for example, if you can do this table and then you can draw, much better. O, di ba? Pwede mo pang i-drawing. If you want to draw yung number 1, you can draw. Basta nandun yung tatlong era at nandun yung main ideas of each era. Ganon. So, okay, pwede mong i-drawing. But I would like to see this one. The table. Ayan. So, do you have other questions regarding our activity? Yan. So, hit the comment box lang. Baka may mga questions kayo. Ibang classmates ninyo nagko-question. Screenshot your activity because this is not included in your module. Nung summer, ini-include ko yung kanilang mga activity sa kanilang, kanilang module. Nandun lahat kung ano yung activity. 1, 2, 3. So, pwede nilang gawin in advance. This semester, however, I'm not going to do that because magkakaiba yung activities ninyo. So, yung ibang sections, yung susunod kong lecture, kasi live lecture din, iba rin yung activity nila. Anong ma'am? Taga-Inno ka? Taga-Philippines pa naman ako, Mr. Karaang. Pero hindi ako taga-Ilocos region. Taga-Cordillera ako. Pero taga-Philippines pa naman ako. Ganoon. Ano ba yung mga questions? Your questions regarding sa ating lecture, ganun. Kayo naman. Kapag nagsabi akong, do you have questions? Hindi ibig sabihin, any question. Kapag nagle-lecture ako, syempre yung related sa lecture natin. Mga criminology talaga. Anyways, I understand. Do you have other questions? Na-screenshot nyo na, ha? Na-screenshot nyo na ba? Other questions? Ma'am, what if hindi. Pwede nyo lang i-submit, like mamaya, like give me 10 minutes or 15 minutes para ma-upload ko yung picture sa inyong FB groups. Kasi under that picture, doon nyo isasubmit para threading tayo, para hindi kalat yung ating submission. Threading tayo. Halimbawa, ibig sabihin, nag-upload ako ng prelim 1 activity down here. Doon nyo lang i-comment yung inyong mga gagawin. So, pwede nyo lang i-submit anytime you finished. Huwag nyo hintayin yung 8 a.m. 8 a.m. bukas, ha? May magsabi na naman na, lamang agaw-awan signal kung amin itay 8 a.m. No. That is not acceptable because I have given you ample time. So much time to submit. So Miss Romero, kapag natapos mo na mamaya, pwede mo lang i-submit mamaya din. Yan. Huwag ganun, ha, yung mga 8 a.m. Ma'am, awan signal ko itay. Ma'am, nagawan sila itay. No. You have so much time to do it, mga kapatid. Na-try ko yun last semester. Ma'am, nagawan ngamin signal itay. Exam na exam, nagawan signal itay. Siya lang, ha? Siya lang yung nagsabing nawalan siya ng signal. Ganun. Anyhow. Other questions? Awanin questions yo? I'm really amazed. I've been talking for more than or almost an hour. Ito lang na slides hanggang slide 15 lang talaga yung nagawa natin today. Awanin questions yung mga kapatid. Last na yung kay Mr. Romero na question. Screenshot nyo na and then start doing this right away. Okay? Simple pa lang tong very first activity natin. Very simple, very easy. Ayan. So I hope you can do this, ha. Do not copy each other. Mind you, zero ko yung mga nakikita kong parehas. It doesn't matter if you are from different sections. Pag nakita kong A to Z, comment box. Yes, Mr. Ganal, but not here on YouTube ha. Comment box ng FB group. You'll see later on sa ating FB group. Huwag dito sa YouTube. Attendance check lang yung chine-check ko dito. Yung tinitignan ko dito pala sa ating YouTube. Comment box ng ating FB group. Others? Ayan. Yung mga class leaders nyo, very active. Nagtatanong ka agad, ma'am, di da ka na makakomment. Ganito, ganyan. Anyhow, troubleshoot ninyo yan sa next na lecture natin. So, yung mga sections 2D, 2H, 2J, 2K, 2L. This is our live online session this week. Pero yung ibang, like for example, let's check yung 2D. Yung 2D kasi, yung, where is my attendance check? I'll check lang ha, wait lang. 2D, your class to me, your class under me is, where is that? Makita yung aking, check ko lang ha. Mga taga 2D is Tuesdays, Thursdays, 9 to 10:30 tayo, correct? Mga taga 2D, ayan. So, bukas, klase nyo sa akin ng 9 to 10:30 dapat, di ba? Pero hindi na tayo magla-live online. Magpo-post ako sa ating FB group ng either pre-recorded or ibang lesson. So, offline nyo na gagawin yun. You can do it or you can listen to it anytime. So, ito na yung ating online or live. Offline na yung isa pang meeting natin. So, sa mga sections na nandito, 2D, 2H, 2J, 2K, 2L. When? Maminsan tayo la-admit iti online. Tapno hamang kakaasi tayo load yung kakasjay. Yan. So, wala na kayong comment. Ayan, tinatagalan ko lang. Actually, tinatagalan ko lang para ma-screenshot ninyo. Ganon. So, kung wala na kayong tatanong, ayan, you can start doing this one. I'll proceed to your FB group para gawin ko na yung ating pictures so you can submit your activities right away if you are done with it. So, ayan. Next na YouTube live natin or live stream natin or lecture natin is mas mahaba. Okay? Okay, noted. Okay, so I get it. You don't have any more questions, mga kapatid. So, dito na mag-e-end yung ating live stream for today. Thank you for joining our lecture. Sa mga nahihirapan ng signal dyan, alam nyo na kung paano yung magiging lecture natin, ha? Yeah. So, you don't need to turn on your cameras. Just turn on your headphones and listen. So, ayan. So much ado. Thank you also for joining and good morning, everyone. Please start doing your activities this morning and see you sa ating next na live online lessons. Good morning again, everyone. Thank you and God bless you.